Right, so I look like Casper the Friendly Ghost and Homer Simpson's love child, but let's keep the lighting like that and see how we get on. Also, thanks to GP Laps for the idea for this video, so to see what he does, check out a link to his channel down here somewhere. Right, so welcome back to the channel and to a bit of simulation fun. We all know that Formula 1 is the fastest motorsport in the world, at least around a circuit, and top speeds and average speeds are of course a lot higher at the Indianapolis 500. Formula 1 cars are purpose-built, aerodynamic and physics-bending monsters, and even though these things are longer, wider and heavier than anything from the so-called good old days of 2002 to 2005, these things are still good for 230 miles an hour at Monza. Which then got me thinking, how fast can a Formula 1 car actually go? Now, the British American racing team, or Honda, I can't remember which one it was, it might have been BAR with Honda, but either way, they already tried to set a land speed record for Formula 1 cars on some salt flats a fair while back, and they removed the rear wing and the front wing and stuff for, epic streamlinage. But I want to see what the top speed of a Formula 1 car is without any modifications, just through setup and all that stuff, and see how fast it can go. And a while back, probably the first of the Can F1 Handle episodes was, well, it was done at Le Mans to see how much time an F1 car had over an LMP1. But even with the chicanes bypassed like they were prior to the early 1990s, the straights at Le Mans are a tad short. So we need something a bit longer. Now you're probably thinking, go to the Nordschleife for Dirting a Hoe and all that stuff, but that straight is only 2 kilometres long, and the FIA says any track that has a straight longer than 2 kilometres has to have some sort of chicane plonked in the middle, like Le Mans or Bathurst. So where in the world can we find something longer? None of the tracks on the F1 calendar, whether it's Monza, Baku, even the old Hockenheim, are suitable for what I want to do. So this is where GP Laps and his channel comes into play. His most recent video saw old Grand Prix cars from 1937 running around possibly the most mental circuit of them all. AVUS. Now, AVUS isn't strictly a name, it's more of an acronym, and it stands for, this is going to be terrible, but okay, the Automobilverkehr- und Übungsstraße, which translates from German to English as Automobile Traffic and Training Road, and AVUS sounds a lot better than ATU. So imagine a motorway connected by 2 U-turns. That's what AVUS was. It was like taking the M6, shutting it, and then using Junction 10 at Warsaw and Junction 7 at Great Bar to connect the two together. Although the south end of the course had a tight left-hander, the one at the north end was banked. So a quick story time. It was devised in 1907, but due to financial concerns and the Germans being sticklers for the rules, the construction was delayed until 1913. And then there was a war. After the war, in which Germany was blamed for everything that had happened in the previous 4 years, motor racing avoided the place like the plague, and the circuit finally opened in 1921. But it was in 1926 they had their first international race weekend. First practice session, a driver, the Italian Enrico Plate, was killed. Then the actual race, 2 track marshals were killed when Adolf Rosenberger crashed and a third died in hospital, and AVUS was branded too dangerous. So they moved to the Nurburgring instead. Which is a bit like saying, we should move from here, Fortaleza is too dangerous, and then going to live in Caracas. So AVUS was relegated to testing cars. Rocket cars. And then there was a pretty sizable recession. When Europe emerged from the Great Depression, they constructed the Wall of Death, which was a brick banked curve at the north end of the track. And the track also hosted events in the Olympics of that year, such as the marathon and the cycling. This Wall of Death had no barrier on the outside, so if you overshot it, dead. In 1937, the rules of Grand Prix racing were opened up, so it allowed cars to be entered purely for the reason of doing nothing else than to be muy rapido. But while this was to encourage auto manufacturers to build streamlined cars and attempt lap records and straight line speed records, it was basically a way of Hitler's Germany being able to get its knob out and flop it on the table for measuring versus the Americans and the British. There are also conflicting reports around this time in regards to how fast these German Wunderbar Wundercars were going. Some put the figure close to around 200 miles an hour, which is pretty impressive. But some reports, probably for propaganda purposes at the time, again, Nazi Germany, put those speeds at around 240 miles an hour. These are speeds that are only seen at Indianapolis. But either way, 200 miles an hour, 240 miles an hour, considering these cars weren't built to the same quality and safety standards as they are now, wearing no seatbelts, cotton shirts, no flameproof overalls, polo helmets to protect your noggin, you had to be borderline psychotic to even want to try it. And then there was another war. One that was actually started by Germany this time. After the war, the track fell into the hands of the Americans because it was in their part of Berlin once they occupied it following the end of the Second World War. And they too used it to test vehicles. The track hosted a round of the Formula 1 World Championship in 1959, but even then, banked corners for Formula 1 cars were being considered as being too dangerous. In 1961, they demolished it. In 1963, they abandoned the oval at Monza, but the track still hosted DTM and Formula 3 events. After a couple of major accidents in 1995 in the DTM series, one of which killed a driver, and there was also concerns from locals about environmental issues, pollution, noise, and having to shut the road for events. There was concerns from officials and safety executives in motorsport as well, and ADAC didn't particularly like it either. The decision was made to close the track for good, and they held a farewell event in 1999 after the final official races were held in 1998. The guests at that race included many who raced on that track in its heyday. The wooden grandstand is protected as a national monument, and the control tower still remains, and at one point it was being used as a restaurant. But unfortunately, like I say, the banking is gone, but the ghosts of the past still remain in that area. It's a shame not many people know about AVUS, to be honest, because when you think epic German tracks, everybody just defaults to the Nordschleife. Then again, that is the only track on the planet to some. So, story time over. I'm going to move from this seat into the rig and start fiddling with the car to try and make it go as fast as possible in a straight line. How hard can it be? Right, so I've migrated to the rig. One day I will get into this thing without sitting on my own ball sack, but we're here at AVUS and I've picked the Ferrari F2004. I was going to do it in one of the hybrid cars, but these things have fully adjustable gears and things like that, so I can really stretch the legs of the car. And it's a V10, and aside from Al Gore and Greta Thunberg, who doesn't love a V10? So I'm going to go out on the default setup just as it comes straight out of the box, and then I'll load up a modified Monza setup or just take you through the setup process myself and see what we can extract out of this thing. And this track is 18 kilometers long, so each straight is just under 9k. Whatever that is in miles, it's probably 5 miles-ish, something like that. Well, this should be quite fun, I think. So, without wasting too much time, let's get out on track and see what it will do. And one thing to point out here is that going south, so the direction I'm facing in now, the track is uphill. Coming back, going north, it's downhill, and that's where we're going to be measuring the times from, because we want to see how fast it will actually go. So, default setup, on the downhill, what will it do? Right, into the hairpin. Power! I've also put the speedometer into miles an hour here because I can't do the maths beyond 320, so sorry about that if you're a metricist. But if you live in America, 194 miles an hour, and I'm bouncing off a limiter. Okay, that's all I need to know. So I've loaded a old Monza setup that I had, and it's saying that theoretically this car will top out at 214 miles an hour, but going to need a bit more than that. So let's whack that up to 248. Leave the tyre pressures all the same. Let's crank the fuel up to about 30 litres because I'm going to need it. Traction control irrelevant at this point. Take a lot of this wing off. I think that should do it. Let's see what it'll do then. Alright, attempt number 2. It's got no turning. Right, we're at 220. Give me 230. Give me 231. Not even in 7th gear yet. Oh no, I've dropped. No. No. Keep it in 6th. That's 230. I don't think it's 7th gear hasn't got 7th gear hasn't got the pull. Bugger. Quick change of the gear ratios. Made 7th shorter. See if I can exploit that top end of the rev range. Imagine doing this on the Autobahn. 8. 9. Give me 230, come on. No! Oh, there we go, 230. I think I've hit the limit of what the downforce will do, or the wings are probably holding it back a bit more. What I need is DRS. This is actually very, very difficult. I've changed the gear ratios again. I'm hoping for 235 on the way back to back up the track. There we go, up to 215, 19, 20, 8, 9, 30, 1, 2, give me a 3, give me a 3. You're not going to give me a 3, are you? Come on. Oh, there's the 3. Come on, you know you want to give me some more. No, it's not going to go much faster than that. Theoretical top speed is now 235 miles an hour. If I can hit that, I'll be happy. 7, 8, 9, 30. Come on, let's keep this thing pinned all the way to the end. Oh, it showed a 1. There's 1. Come on, Ferrari. Something I never thought I'd say. Come on, give me some more of that downhill. Well, there's the wooden grandstand at least. Fucking hell! Oh my god, that is mental. One more run and see what that'll do. Final run. Still a fun experiment though. Lengthened all the gears this time. 9. Give me 230. Give me 230. There it is. I think 233 is going to be the best I'm going to get with my limited setup prowess. I've screwed the setup. Bugger. Does that mean he's not coming on then? Okay, so 233 is the best I can get. I probably could get 235 if I knew how to set the car up properly. Probably something to do with ride height as well, suspension, gearing, and that things like that. If you manage to break 235 or even 240, do let me know in the comments section. I'd like to see one of the other sim tubers probably have a go at this. Maybe Chris or Jimmy or whoever. So if you want to take up the challenge, go for it. Loris de Soswa, if you're watching, this might be something you might be interested in. But yeah, that's it from me. I didn't break 235, unfortunately. But at least I got to rag an V10 down a German motorway for a bit. You know, really take advantage of the Autobahn and things like that, although it's probably got a speed limit at this point along the route. But all that said, I had fun doing this. And if you had fun watching this, maybe learn something about AVUS in the process. Give the video one of these. And for more clowning around in simulators or racing in simulators or the stuff I do on this channel, then click the subscribe button with the bell on so you get all the latest. As always, big thank you to the patrons of this channel on Patreon. If you want to join them or just join in Discord, Twitter and all that other stuff, then all the links you need will be in the description box below. So until next time, I've been Millward. Have a great day wherever you live in the world, and I'll see you all again very soon for another video. So until then, goodbye.